Alrighty guys, what is up and welcome back to the daily series of Nwadei MMA. You're watching my breakdown of Errol Spence versus Terence Crawford, one of the biggest fights we've ever seen in boxing, one of the most important fights we're ever going to see in boxing. This is for the unified welterweight championship. This is to see if Terence Crawford can become the first boxer unified in two weight classes in the 4-belt era, or to see if Errol Spence can become the unified champion of the welterweight division, claiming all 4 belts. So like I said, this is a very important fight. There's a lot of things we have to get into today, so thank you guys for stopping by my video. I know we haven't done one of these in a while. We've been focusing a lot on the Will versus the Way podcast. I hope you guys have been enjoying it. If you have not seen that yet, that is where I have been posting my predictions and breakdowns and just chatting with my teammate Terence. So if you haven't checked that out, go ahead and do that after this video. However, with that being said, let's go ahead and get right into the breakdown, the best breakdown you're gonna see for one of the biggest fights in our generation. Let's get into it. Alright guys, so first and foremost, if you would like more daily MMA content and in-depth fight analysis, don't forget to subscribe and leave a comment down below, because on this channel, yes, I give you my thoughts. However, more importantly, I ask for your guys' thoughts while we break these fights down. So with that being said, Terence Crawford versus Errol Spence. The first thing we have to look at when we go into breaking down this boxing match is their stances, right? Because on one side with Errol Spence, we have a southpaw who likes to pressure forward, dig to the body, come up with hooks, constant avalanche like pressure. It's very methodical and it's different from what Terence has seen in any of his opponents to come. And on the other side with Terence Crawford, a guy who is right-handed, however likes to fight both southpaw and orthodox, uses each stance with a variety of different attacks, different defenses, different setups. He seamlessly switches in between the two. In one fight, he might be fighting the whole fight southpaw. In another fight, he might be fighting the whole fight orthodox. If he's having trouble in orthodox, he'll switch to southpaw and vice versa. He's multi-talented. Terence Crawford has tremendous eyes and a good eye for spotting when he's in trouble or not. Now, to go deeper into these stances and how these stances affect the fight, well, we got to delve into Terence Crawford because he's going to be the one dictating what kind of fight this is, right? So we all know Errol Spence is going to be moving forward. How does Terence Crawford deal with this? Well, going southpaw, this is going to make it a southpaw versus southpaw matchup, which generally makes it harder for southpaws because they're used to going against orthodox fighters. However, what this does do is it brings his dominant hand, his right hand, forward, and to where he's gonna have to use the jab a lot more because it gives access to the jab, and Errol's very good at using the jab himself. However, when Terence Crawford does go southpaw, he tends to rely on the check hook a lot of times when people are entering in too quickly or faster than he can expect. His jab usually isn't a stiff jab, it's more of a pushing or pawing jab, and it's not as crisp as his jab on his left hand when he goes into the orthodox stance, which I think is gonna play a big factor into this fight if he chooses to go southpaw versus southpaw. However, in that southpaw stance, his left hand is a chopping left hook to the body. It's very dangerous. It seamlessly switches into uppercut if the opponent is dipping to get into range. We saw this very well utilized against Shawn Porter in that matchup. Shawn Porter has a similar style, but it's quite different from Errol Spence's as well, to where Shawn Porter likes those blitzing styles to get in because he is the smaller, shorter fighter. He uses punches and bunches to get himself inside. Once he's inside, he tries to dirty fight from the clinch before then backing out and reassessing his situation. While on the other hand with Errol Spence, he is more like an avalanche, to where he methodically comes forward using various straight punches up top to get your guard to come up high and then brutalizing you to the body, every shot thudding whether you block it or not. And it's a very difficult puzzle to fix or to solve. However, back to Terence Crawford, because he telegraphs or pushes that jab, you can see it coming, which will allow Spence to see that jab or check hook coming, allowing him his availability to counter or to decide whether he wants that punch to hit him or to use it against Terence Crawford himself. However, one thing that I think is the most important thing to realize when talking about Terence Crawford and the way he likes to switch stances is he doesn't really care whether he's in southpaw or in orthodox. It's more about what his opponent is doing. right? If his opponent is trying to pressure him, since he likes to pop shot or pick his shots, he usually doesn't have the most punches thrown. Usually his opponent throws more punches than him, but he picks his shots very nicely. He has a good eye for where his opponent's gonna dip his head to and catch him with things like that. And so the reason for me saying this is because he cares whether it's a same stance or an opposite stance. If his opponent is a southpaw but they want to be blitzing in and stuff like that, he'll go to orthodox and set him up for the backhand that way, because he has that extra amount of space. So when you see him switch and they're opposite stances, you'll see him stay in the pocket a little bit more. That way he's willing to give some. Maybe he'll take some too, but generally when he gives some, he's more accurate, he's more precise, and he has better timing on his shots because he's used to fighting people in the opposite stance. However, if he's trying to walk down his opponents, generally he'll go same stance as them. That way he has more access to the jab, it's more powerful, it's coming down the center line, and he has his right hand in the back in order to hammer them down on the ear as they start moving away or angling out. So these are some of the puzzles and the things that Terence Crawford likes to play. However, how will Spence counter this? How does this fare against Spence's pressure? Because it is a different kind of pressure. This almost reminds me of the matchup Tommy Hearns versus Marvin Hagler. Marvin Hagler, a guy who likes to work the body, a guy who likes to put that head in your chest, walk forward and brutalize his opponents with heavy shots. However, Marvin Hagler was more focused on hooks to the body and then a straight right upstairs, while Spence actually looks for the 1-2 to bring your guard up, still rattling your head through your guard because he has powerful shots, especially for this weight division. He's a big guy for this welterweight weight division, and then he likes to dig down to the body, walking forward, putting his head in your chest. So it's the same methodical approach. However, he likes different strikes to set up different strikes rather than Marvin Hagler liked. However, Terence Crawford is more like Tommy the Hitman Hearns. Although he isn't usually the taller fighter, he's lanky, he's skinny, yes, he picks his shots, yes, and he switches. So in my opinion, Terence Crawford is even a more advanced version of Tommy Hearns. However, like the Hitman Hearns, he also gets hit. And if you're getting hit like how Terence Crawford was against Sean Porter in his matchup, yeah, he was getting hit with some clean right hands early. You can't take those same punches from Errol Spence because he is a hard puncher, probably a harder puncher than Terence Crawford. I'd say Crawford is the more precise puncher, while Errol is the more devastating and brutal puncher. All his shots are going to hurt you. He's a bruiser. He's going to get in that pocket. He's going to break your ribs. Even if you decide to keep fighting with it, he's going to stick to his game plan, and it's just all to make you break, all to make you quit. And will Terence Crawford quit? Well, that's the big question, because Terence Crawford's style is not really to make his opponents quit. It's more to see his opponents, see what they're doing, break them down, hit them with various shots. They don't know where the shots are coming from. His lead hand's low. It's coming up with an up jab. He's switching stances. It throws off his opponent's game plan. He's catching them with clean shots. His idea is not to overwhelm them with brute force like Errol Spence, but it's more to overwhelm them with trickiness, savviness, and angles. However, for my official prediction, for the way I believe this one is going to play out, I'm choosing Errol Spence. And the reason I'm choosing Errol Spence is based off of complete fundamentals. I think Errol Spence has the better fundamentals. I think that because he does not abandon his stance or abandon his way of getting the job done, it makes it very difficult on his opponents, because then they have to change. When whatever they're doing is not working, they have to change. Now, Terence Crawford is a master at adapting, right? But he often changes stances, whether it's for defense, changing stances to angle out quicker and set up his backhand, or whether it's for offense, continuing with that stance once he finds an opening in either the opposite stance or the same stance of his opponent. But the years spent in that southpaw stance for Errol Spence is going to play a factor from the years spent switching of Terence Crawford. He doesn't have a home base. He uses each stance for different reasons. And when you don't have a home base, you're constantly stealing bases, right? If you're familiar with baseball, you're stealing bases, trying to get from one area to another safe, and hopefully your teammate hits a home run so that you can keep running the bases, right? But when you have a home base, you have an objective, you have a goal, you have a place you want to get to, and you're only making smaller changes to get to that home base rather than the big drastic changes like a home run hit. Errol Spence has never been dropped with just one shot. He's never been knocked out, so it's going to take punches and bunches. And Crawford find those with a forward moving freight train like Errol Spence, I don't think he can. I think he'll land a couple. I think he'll land a few, matter of fact. But I think the slow, methodical approach from Errol Spence, even if he starts this fight from round one out the gate, coming hard with the jabs, hard with the crosses, if you block him, you still feel him. He forces you to go backwards. If you go same stance as Errol, if you go southpaw versus southpaw, he can also box. We've seen that before as well. In the Sean Porter fight, he was able to box very well, and he was able to push Sean Porter back. Spence could do it all, and he could do it all from the southpaw stance, and that is why I'm choosing Errol Spence. That's why I'm choosing the truth. I think that this is another belt he takes. I think this is another belt he takes before moving up to the 154-pound division. I think when it comes down to heart, to breaking your opponents down with pure technique, and your opponent is seeing the same puzzle over and over again but can't seem to solve it because they just keep getting brutalized, I think that's more devastating than someone catching you with shots that you don't see. I think that's a harder thing to swallow than people angling out, moving, and picking their shots. Guys, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Are you guys watching this fight? I know I have a large mixed martial arts community here. I don't know how many of you watch boxing over mixed martial arts, or if you are going to be watching both, Justin Gaethje versus Dustin Poirier 2, and then afterwards Errol Spence versus Terence Crawford. I know I'm going to be watching both. I know I'm going to be reacting to both. Let me know what you guys are going to do. With that being said, that wraps up this video. That brings us to the end. Who y'all got? I got Errol Spence. Let's go. The truth. Man down. Line him up. Put him in the dirt. Guys, y'all have a good one. Stay safe. Stay blessed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. With that being said, peace.